everybody, and welcome to Real Madrid Hub, your source for Real Madrid news. I am your host, Eric Rivera, and of course, all eyes are right now on the transfer market and the transfer window, and of course, the transfer of one Kylian Mbappe from PSG to Real Madrid. It is right now about 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. actually, August 30th, Monday, August 30th, and we know that the transfer window closes on Tuesday at midnight. So Tuesday, August 31st at midnight, and it's getting closer and closer, and many Madridistas are very nervous. But one Madridista that is not nervous, former player Pedro Mijatovic, as reported by Mateo Vallejo from Defensa Central. Pedro Mijatovic was actually interviewed by El Larguero, and he speaks about the Kylian Mbappe negotiation, and he says that he feels that Mbappe's signing will happen in the last hours of the transfer window. He said Madrid has done a good job of making sure that Kylian Mbappe continues to reject the renewal, essentially, and that's why he thinks that's why he's optimistic. He feels like the deal is almost done. He goes, there's been a lot of talk between these two teams, and that essentially these type of transfers always come down to the last hour. He also said that it's very important for many people that have, asked, why are we paying so much money for a player that can essentially be free at the end of the season? He says you have to try and get him this season, because if you do not get him this summer, he sees it very complicated for us to get him the following summer. He says, that he had a friend that always says, you eat spaghetti when it's hot. And the translation of that would essentially be, you strike iron when it's hot. So essentially you try to get the things done when the opportunity presents themselves. Because right now, we've seen in the transfer market, things happen so quickly. Things change so quickly in the world of football. Kylian Mbappe could say that he's not renewing and all this kind of stuff, and that he's going to leave on a free. And then the longer he stays at PSG and the more he gets, confident with Neymar and Messi and everybody around him, he might choose to just stay and renew. The idea is to get him out of there as soon as possible. And right now, while the player seems to be keen on leaving PSG and coming to Real Madrid, you have to try and go for him. That is essentially what we have to do. In other news, Gerard Piqué, of course, the center back of Barcelona, the captain of Barcelona in many regards when it comes to really, carrying the flag for Barcelona, a player that I really dislike, and I've always disliked him, loves to always showcase his anti-Madridismo. Yesterday actually gave Florentino, actually said some positive things about Florentino, believe it or not. So Luis Alberto Lopez reports this for Defensa Central. He actually, Piqué was actually on the Twitch of Ibai Llanos, which everybody knows. Ibai Llanos, of course, now very famous Twitch celebrity who has now made a lot of journalists tremble because of his access to a lot of these players. But anyways, he was on Twitch with Ibai Piqué, and he spoke about Florentino Perez, and he said, Tito Floren strategically has always been, and he goes, it hurts me to admit it, the best. The movement he did for Luis Figo back in the day was spectacular, and it smells like to me that Mbappe, if he leaves this year, and they're not going to let him leave unless PSG has some sort of substitute. And he goes, even if he leaves or he doesn't leave, Al Khelaifi is guaranteed pretty much that Ligue 1 is going to have a lot of stars. So basically saying, Ligue 1 is going to have a lot of talents right now, regardless of if Mbappe leaves or not. So, it's kind of like right now, a lot of the big name players, I would say, I don't think it's Ligue 1 that has the big name players. I would say it's one team, which is PSG, that has the big name players. But essentially, Piqué admitted that Florentino Perez has been a very, very solid president for Real Madrid and has done things spectacularly for the club. So much so that, at the height of the pandemic right now, when many people and many clubs have been fighting, just to stay afloat and are, suffering with hundreds of thousands, even millions of euros in debt, Florentino Perez has actually been able to take Real Madrid and keep them afloat and essentially even get money enough and make the right moves enough to have enough money to buy a player like Kylian Mbappe, and make an offer like the 180 million euros that they have offered for Kylian Mbappe, when very few other teams right now in the are in the market to make a move like that. So he's essentially saying, taking off his hat to Florentino Perez, which is something we don't normally see from Piqué, being open about or positive about something that comes out of Madrid. But that's what we're seeing right now. I mean, and Piqué is a guy who is also, besides obviously being a player for Barcelona, but at this point, at the end of his career, he's also somebody who's dipped his hands in business and seems to be doing very well, has a lot of projects, essentially the Davis Cup, and now, he's gotten the rights for Ligue 1 in Spain. So he's doing very well there. And so obviously I'm pretty sure that he looks up to the business side of things and looks up to somebody like Florentino Perez. So in other news, in a close source of the French club PSG has said that that Real Madrid is essentially going to get their response from PSG, in the sense that it's not going to be enough. 180 million euros is not going to be enough for them. So we saw that the last deal, essentially the first offer was 160 million euros. We all know that 160 million euros that was apparently rejected by PSG, and then they elevated that to 170 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons, which would essentially be 180 million euros. At this point, we're seeing from PSG that they're being very quiet about things, even with some statements kind of making it seem like that's not enough for Kylian Mbappe. So it seems like the deal might be made if it's 180 million euros plus some more in add-ons, would be what makes the French club budge. And excuse me, still getting over this cold, but would get the deal across the line, essentially push it across the line, is they would have to raise the money. That is what is being said. Supposedly this is coming from a source. Now this is from Mundo Deportivo and Jaume Misarax. He is basically saying that a source very close to the Emir of Qatar has said that is what is going to be happening right now in the last bit of negotiation between Real Madrid. Would be, will Real Madrid raise the price to 180 million and change, or 180 million and plus some add-ons? Because that is what it looks like they are looking for. That is what we're seeing right now, and that's what could happen essentially in the last full day of deals, which would be today, Monday. And anything can change. I mean, I'm recording this right now. By the time you listen to it, we might already have him as a player, or we might know for sure that he's not coming. Who knows? I mean, that's just the way the things work. And then finally, guys, Javier Tebas, now something not related to Kylian Mbappe. Javier Tebas has essentially lost the battle with FIFA, and we know that many leagues were a little bit adamant or apprehensive about sending their players to CONMEBOL, to the South American qualifiers, because of the fact that many of the South American countries are considered red zones, and currently right now are facing very, very high numbers of coronavirus COVID-19 cases. So essentially the idea was not to send the players. Javier Tebas did not want to send the South American players that play currently for La Liga to the South American qualifiers. We've also seen this move from the Premier League. But right now, essentially, Tebas has lost the battle, because it seems like what has happened is that the TAS, which is the sport arbitration International Sport Arbitration Board Committee essentially has said that that they have to let the players go, that they have to let the players play for the clubs. So essentially, Tebas has lost that battle, and what he's needed to do is he's asking to postpone the games between Sevilla and Barcelona, and also move the date of Real Madrid versus Celta, as well as a few other games, because of the fact that he wants to make sure that the players from the South America that play in South America will be available for those games, because those are big games, of course, in La Liga. So he's asked to basically suspend Sevilla, Barcelona, and Villarreal Alaves, which will be in the fourth match day of La Liga Santander, because of the absence of South American players, probably due to quarantine and things like that. And then he's also asking to move Real Madrid Celta, which was going to be their return to Bernabeu. And it's going to be moved from the 11th of September, basically Saturday, 11th of September, to late in the afternoon on the 12th of September, basically the Sunday. So moving from a Saturday earlier in the day to late in the day on Sunday. That is essentially what is happening right now. They're trying to move all these things. They're trying to move all these things in that regard, because of the fact that the players from South America are going to be going to play in their South American qualifiers, and even though the situation with cases and whatnot is pretty high in those countries, so I understand why Tebas wanted to do it. I understand why the Premier League is going to do it. But essentially, all of these players, they want to represent their country too. And as long as they follow protocols, they should be okay. But we know that things happen, and this is a crazy world we're living in right now. So it's understandable that they would be disappointed as well, since essentially it is the club teams that pay for the players. So not having them available due to some sort of COVID infection will, at the end of the day, cost the club and not so much each team's national federation. So that is the news I have for now, guys, here at Real Madrid Hub. Make sure you stay tuned to us for all your news about Real Madrid, all your news about, the next few hours. I'm pretty sure JOTA is going to be keeping you guys up to date with everything about Kylian Mbappe. So stay tuned, guys, here at the channel. Hit that notification button. Hit that subscribe button so you get all the notifications and you get, everything. As soon as we upload it, you can get notified and you can hear what's going on. Just stay tuned here at Real Madrid Hub. Thank you guys for listening again, and we'll talk again soon.